She's thinking about you right now, but she won't reach out. Not because she's over you, but because she's afraid that if she does, she'll lose control. And what she doesn't realize is that her silence is the very thing keeping her stuck on you. If this is you, sitting there, wondering why she hasn't texted, replaying that last conversation in your head, trying to figure out what went wrong, you're not alone. Maybe this feels familiar. You wake up, check your phone, half hoping her name will be there. You scroll through old messages just to feel that connection again. You tell yourself you're fine, that you've moved on, but deep down, part of you still wants to understand why she pulled away when things felt real. You can feel her energy. You know she still thinks about you. You sense it in the way she lingers on your stories, the way mutual friends mention your name, or how she suddenly disappears every time you start to move on. You're not imagining it. She's caught in the same loop you are, except she's playing the waiting game. If this is you, then you've probably asked yourself 1,000 times, why won't she just say something? Why can't she be honest about what she feels? Here's the truth. She wants to reach out, but her pride won't let her. She's trying to protect her ego more than she's trying to reconnect with her heart. She thinks that by staying silent, she's in control. But what she doesn't know is that silence isn't strength, it's fear. And while she's busy pretending she doesn't care, she's losing the very connection she secretly craves. So the real question is, when she's thinking about you, replaying the same memories, fighting the same feelings, what happens the moment you stop thinking about her? Most men get this situation completely wrong. When a woman pulls back or refuses to text first, they panic. They start overthinking, replaying every detail, wondering if they said something wrong or missed some hidden signal. They think if they just send the right message, say the right thing, she'll finally open up. But that mindset, that need to fix or chase, is exactly what kills attraction. You see, women don't stop thinking about you because you went quiet. They stop thinking about you when they realize you've lost control of yourself. When a man starts chasing reassurance, he gives away the very energy that drew her in, that calm, grounded presence that says, I'm good with or without you. Right now, she's probably caught between her pride and her feelings. She wants to reach out, but she's afraid. Afraid that if she does, she'll lose power. And if you react emotionally, if you break the silence first, you prove her right, that she's still the one in control. The truth is, silence isn't a punishment, it's a mirror. It reflects who's truly in control of their emotions. Most men can't handle that stillness. They start chasing noise to escape the discomfort. But a grounded man, he's different. He understands that space is where clarity grows. He knows that connection built on pressure isn't real. The core masculine principle here is simple. You lead with emotional self-respect, not fear of loss. When you stop chasing, you stop bleeding value. When you stop trying to prove your worth, she starts to feel your absence in a different way, not as rejection, but as strength. Because deep down, women don't fall for men who seek validation. They fall for men who move with quiet certainty. The man who can love her, miss her, and still choose himself first, that's the one she never forgets. So if she's thinking about you but won't text first, let her sit with that. Don't fill the silence. Don't chase the closure. Hold your ground, because the moment you stop reacting is the moment she realizes you were never the one waiting. She was. It's late. The glow from your phone screen fades as the clock hits midnight. The room feels still, too still. You tell yourself you're done thinking about her, but her name drifts across your mind like a whisper you can't shake. You turn the phone face down, then back up again. Notifications light up, none from her, just noise, empty noise. You remember the way she used to text first, those messages that made your chest tighten, the ones that felt effortless. Now it's silence, not the kind that feels peaceful, the kind that echoes. You scroll through old conversations, pretending you're just clearing space, but your eyes pause on her words anyway. Her laugh, her tone, the way she'd send those little dots, then delete them, then type again. She's still there somewhere, but she's gone. You wonder if she's doing the same thing right now. Sitting on her bed, staring at your name in her phone, pretending she doesn't care. Maybe she's composing a message and deleting it. Maybe she's thinking, if he cared, he'd reach out first. And you're here thinking the same thing. Two people, both waiting for the other to break. You step outside, the night air hits cold against your skin. Somewhere a streetlight hums. You take a breath, the kind that feels heavier than it should. You start to realize that it's not her silence that hurts you most. It's what it reminds you of, that need to be wanted, that small voice whispering, if she texts, it means I still matter. But deep down, another voice, quieter, older, starts to rise. The one that's tired of waiting, the one that's seen this before. Don't move, don't chase. It says, this is where you learn what she never will, peace and silence. you start to understand she's not reaching out because she's caught in her own pride. Maybe she's scared. Maybe she's replaying the same memories, trying to convince herself she doesn't miss you. Maybe she's using silence to feel strong, not realizing how much she's thinking about the man who isn't chasing her anymore. So you stop checking your phone. You stop hoping for the vibration that never comes. You just breathe. You sit in that quiet and something shifts. Subtle, like the air after a storm. You realize her not texting isn't rejection, it's reflection. It's her feeling the space you've created. Somewhere out there, she's lying awake, scrolling through pictures, feeling that same hollow ache you once did. She'll think about texting you, maybe even type your name, but she won't hit send. She'll convince herself it's strength. She'll wait for you to break, but this time you won't. And in that stillness, she'll finally feel what you've already learned. That peace doesn't come from being wanted. It comes from being centered, even when someone else can't find the courage to say what they feel. And maybe one day when her pride quiets and her heart gets louder, she'll realize you were never the one who left her waiting. She was. Most men believe that when a woman stops reaching out, it means she stopped caring. They think silence equals rejection, that if she doesn't text first, she's already moved on. But that's not the truth. What's really happening is far more psychological and far more human. You see, when a woman pulls away, it's rarely because her feelings are gone. It's usually because her emotions are too strong and she doesn't know how to manage them without losing control. A man's instinct is to fix things, to reach out, explain, reconnect. But that instinct, while well-meaning, is exactly what drives her further away because she's not testing your words. She's testing your energy. She wants to feel whether you can hold your ground when things feel uncertain, whether you can stay calm in the storm she's creating. Most men think texting her first will show maturity, honesty, vulnerability, but what it really does in her emotional language is show dependence. She doesn't read your message as "I care." She reads it as "I can't handle the silence." The first false belief you need to break is this: her silence means you did something wrong. No, her silence often means she's trying to protect her ego, not punish your heart. She's trying to convince herself she doesn't miss you because missing you would mean admitting you mattered. And here's the thing. She might scroll through your profile. She might type your name, even start a message. But pride will stop her thumb. She's not reaching out because she's afraid of being the one who cared more, afraid that if she lets go of the upper hand, she'll lose your respect. And here's the second false belief. If I wait, I'll lose her forever. That's fear talking, not truth. Waiting doesn't make you weaker. It makes you patient. It gives space for clarity, hers and yours. Because real connection doesn't disappear in silence. It's revealed by it. The truth is she's thinking about you. Maybe not every second, but often enough for your absence to feel heavy. She just won't admit it. Not yet. Because deep down she's waiting for something more powerful than a message. She's waiting to feel your absence differently. You don't need to remind her of your worth. You just need to remember it yourself. That's where most men lose the plot. They think love is something to earn, when in reality it's something to embody. You can't make her text you. You can't make her care. But you can become the kind of man who doesn't crumble when someone pulls away. The kind of man whose peace is louder than her silence. You want a viral truth? Here it is. She didn't ghost you. You disappeared from yourself. Read that again. You disappeared from yourself the moment you started needing her validation more than your own center. You lost the frame, the calm, grounded energy that made her feel safe in the first place. So this time, don't chase, don't prove, don't beg the silence to end. Let it teach you, because when you stop trying to pull her back, you pull yourself back. And that's when the energy shifts. That's when she feels your strength again, not through words, but through your absence. Maybe she'll reach out. Maybe she won't. But either way, you'll have found something more powerful than her text. You'll have found yourself again. When you stop chasing her attention, you start attracting her respect. The 3 man doesn't play games, but he also doesn't lose himself trying to win someone back. He moves differently. He operates from a quiet confidence that doesn't depend on who texts first or who says what, because his value doesn't live in someone else's response. It lives in how he carries himself when no one's watching. This is what he understands. He knows that attraction isn't something you chase. It's something you create by the way you show up. When a woman pulls back, the average man reacts. He scrambles, analyzes, overthinks, tries to fix something that doesn't need fixing. But the 3% man, he pauses. He breathes. He lets the silence speak. He understands that her distance isn't a problem to solve. It's feedback. It's a signal for him to stay grounded. Not to prove his worth through action, but to embody it through presence. He knows that if she's thinking about him but refuses to text first, that's not rejection, that's tension. And he lets that tension work for him, not against him. Most men feel powerless when a woman goes quiet. The 3% man feels peaceful because he's not attached to the outcome. He's anchored in himself. He understands that a woman's emotions can change like the weather, but his direction stays the same. Calm, steady, focused. This is how he leads, with presence, not pressure. He doesn't chase connection, he becomes it. His energy communicates, I'm not going anywhere, but I'm not waiting either. He's not ignoring her to punish her. He's simply living his life in a way that naturally attracts her curiosity back to him, because he knows that feminine energy is drawn to strength, not need. The 3% man doesn't need constant validation because his sense of value isn't negotiable. He's already chosen himself. He's not waiting for a text to feel important. His peace, his focus, his mission, that's his validation. And when he operates from that place, women feel it, they can sense it. That's what keeps him in their mind long after the conversation ends. He's not cold, he's not detached. He's just learned emotional discipline, the ability to stay connected to his feelings without being controlled by them. That's real strength. That's the energy women crave but rarely find. A man who doesn't need to be chosen to feel complete. The 3% man knows this truth. Love is never about possession. It's about polarity. The more grounded he is in his own center, the more she feels pulled back into his orbit. Not because he begged for her attention, but because his energy silently says, I'm already whole. So when she's thinking about him but refuses to text first, he doesn't get angry. He doesn't question his worth. He simply smiles because he knows what's happening. He knows she's trying to feel powerful, and he knows that in time, her emotions will bring her right back to the calm she felt in him. This is what separates him from the rest. While most men chase peace through her validation, he finds peace in his own purpose. Because the 3% man understands the game isn't about getting her to text first. It's about becoming the kind of man who doesn't need her to. It happens quietly. Not in a dramatic moment or a burst of clarity, but in the stillness of an ordinary evening. You're sitting there, phone face down beside you, the same way it's been for days. The air feels heavy and the silence hums like a low reminder of everything you've been holding on to. You check your phone out of habit, not hope. The messages are the same, nothing new, no missed calls, just the echo of waiting. But this time, something inside you shifts. It's not anger. It's not disappointment. It's something deeper, something calmer. You realize you've been waiting for a message that might never come. But more than that, you've been waiting for permission. Permission to move on, permission to stop caring, permission to feel like you're enough again. And for the first time, you see how much of yourself you handed away in that silence. You start to notice the way your chest feels lighter when you let go of the question, will she text me? And replace it with, why am I giving my peace away? You remember who you were before her. Not the version that was desperate for connection, but the one who carried himself with quiet certainty. The one who didn't need anyone to remind him of his worth. It's strange. This moment of awakening doesn't feel like victory. It feels like remembering, like coming home to something you forgot you already had. You realize she's not holding your peace hostage. You were. You built your identity around her silence, around being chosen, around needing to matter to someone else. And now it's collapsing, gently, completely. You breathe deeper. The room doesn't feel so heavy anymore. You notice the sound of your own heartbeat, steady, calm, certain. For the first time in weeks, it's not racing towards something. It's just there, present, alive. You stand up, you stretch, you feel the weight you've been carrying start to loosen. And in that exact moment, you understand something powerful. She's not your closure, she's your mirror. Her silence didn't break you, it revealed where you were still fragile. It showed you the parts of yourself that were still waiting to be chosen. And you realize you don't need her text anymore. You don't need her to validate your worth, to make you feel seen, to prove that you matter. Because the truth is, you always did. You just forgot for a while. You remember what peace feels like when it's not tied to someone else's attention. You remember what strength feels like when it doesn't need to be loud. You remember what self-respect feels like when it's not for show. It's just who you are. You pick up your phone again, but not to check. You smile at it, almost laugh, and set it back down. Not because you're playing a game, not because you're pretending you don't care, but because you finally do about yourself. You step outside, the air feels different, the world hasn't changed, you have. You feel grounded, centered, light, and as you walk, you realize something that almost makes you laugh under your breath. She's probably thinking about you right now, wondering if you've moved on, wondering why you've gone quiet, wondering if the silence feels as heavy for you as it does for her. But it doesn't anymore, because this time, The silence doesn't hurt, it heals. You're not waiting for her anymore, you're walking toward yourself, and that's the moment you finally understand she might still be thinking about you, but you're finally remembering you. In the end, it's not about whether she reaches out or stays silent. It's about the moment you finally realize that the peace you were chasing in her was always waiting for you.